Hi guys and welcome to a new video of chess lessons with chess A-aron. Today we are going to take a new lesson into the life of chess. Let's get started. So, what are we going to see today? Today we are going to see some opening gambits. Like we had the first episode about just regular openings, today we are going to see some gambit openings. What is exactly a gambit? For the people who don't know, a gambit is a trade of pieces where you will probably be losing a piece or losing some points on a piece because you have a more advantaged position, and later on the game you will win this piece or point very quickly back. Let's get started. So we are going to show you guys a little bit about 4 different gambits. We will start with one of the most known gambits and a gambit that I used to play for you guys also. So we start with the Queen's Gambit. So we start with the Queen's pawn and we go to d4. Then we have the Queen's pawn of black. That will go also to d5. Then we will bring the c pawn to c4. This is not protected, but you have 2 different choices in the Queen's Gambit. You have the Queen's Gambit accept, and that's when they take your pawn. That's the Queen's Gambit accept. The second variation is the Queen's Gambit decline. That's when they just reinforce the d pawn or the Queen's pawn with their e pawn. So you have the accept is taking, and you have to protect its declined. So I will show you a few moves of the accept. So they accept. You move your e pawn to e3. They will bring their king pawn to their king knight to f6. You will bring your king's bishop to take on c4. So this is the most easy line, and then you will probably move your king's knight to f3. But here you see the position. You have the full center here with your bishop and your 2 pawns here. So it's for black very difficult to just develop their pawns or developing different pieces. So this is a very good example of what a gambit is. Yes, you lost a pawn in the first move of the third move, second move, but you won it back very quickly, and you had a better position just to give up on it. Okay. The second I want to show you is just a mirror of what we saw in the Queen's Gambit. It's the King's Gambit. We start with the King pawn on e4. Then they will push the King's pawn 2 on e5. Then you will bring the f pawn to f4. So it's just the opposite if you did with the Queen. You have the same logic. You have an accept if they take, or you have a decline when they reinforce. So these are the 2 different options when you have the Queen's or the King's Gambit. You have an accept and a decline. Okay, so here I will show you the accept, and it's just kind of the same. You move here your d pawn to d3. They will bring their Queen's knight out, and then you take with your bishop here. Okay. Here it's a little bit more difficult because to castle here, you have to develop your bishop here, your knight here, and it's a lot more difficult and a lot less open to castle to the king sides. Okay. For the rest, they are just all the same. Yeah. Okay, let's move to the third one. The third one is a variation of just an opening. You have the Vienna opening, but now we have the Vienna Gambit. Let me show you. You start with the King's pawn again. They will bring their King's pawn 2 to e5, and you will develop your Queen's knight to c3. They will probably move their King's knight to f6. And then the Gambit position here is to move the f pawn to f4. If they take, it's just the Vienna accepted. You also have declined when they just move their pawn here. Because they have to reinforce their pawn here, because otherwise if I take here, I attack the knight immediately. The knight cannot take my pawn here back, because otherwise I can take them back. So most of the time he takes this. We move our d pawn to d3 and opening the diagonal for the bishop here. Here they will probably move their bishop to b4 to attacking our knight here, but we can still take on f4. So it's a little bit similar to the King's Gambit, but first you develop your knight here and you play more like the Vienna, so it's a little bit more difficult, but you have a little more development here. Okay, so this is the Vienna Gambit. It's a variation on the Vienna opening. Okay. Let's go for the last one here. The last one is also a variation of an opening for white. It's the Italian game. So this is the Italian Gambit. We start again with the king's pawn. They do the same. And we are developing our king's knight to f3. And they will develop their queen's knight to c6. We will develop our king's bishop to c4. And they will probably move their bishop then to f5. And here the gambit move is the d pawn, the queen's pawn, to d4. When I looked and did the analyze on those moves, most of the time they take with the knight. You take also back with the knight. They will take back with the pawn. So here you just win again some position, some place in the middle. Just here for the Italian Gambit, for me, I don't see very good lines for development here, because you cannot bring your knight out here. You first has to go like in front of your queen, and then you can go to b3. So you can move your bishop, you can castle, but for me it's a little bit of 50-50 if it's a good or not, but it's popular and most of the people know them. So most gambits are developed out of regular openings to create more space. So like we have the Vienna Gambit and we have the Italian Gambit. So both are a variation of a regular opening that we have in chess. The first two are just an opening that are created, and in Gambit the queen doesn't really have an opening like we used the Queen's Gambit for. Same for the King's Gambit. That looks a little bit like the Vienna Gambit. So the second thing I want to show you guys is the analyze tool. Let me show you. So in chess.com you have at the left the little hat, and then you will have analyze. We will just leave the classroom for this, and we will go to the analyze. In the beginning it can lag a little bit, and we will just make moves, and I will show this to you guys with the Vienna Gambit. So we'll start with our king pawn. They will go also with the king pawn. Then we will develop our queen's knight. Let's see. Here they say bring the other knight, but for the gambit here we use the other knight to f6. I'm sorry, it's a little bit lagging because of the engine that's running. And then we are going to play the Vienna Gambit. You will see this coming here. So we have the Vienna Gambit here, and then it will show you if black makes the move to d5 to just bring their queen's pawn next to the king's pawn here, they will just create point 16 for black. But if they move d6 to just protect it, it's more point for white. If they say we will take the gambit pawn, it's 0.41 for white. So that's the tool that you can use to just learn lines and learn what are the best moves to do. Here you will see evaluations from what move can have an impact on the game. So here you can see what are better moves, what are worse moves for you, and how you can win more advantage. And they will not explain why, but you will just see the evaluation that goes up or down. Okay. So I will leave the gambits for now. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you guys have any subject that you want to see, discuss, or want me to explain, you can always drop it in the comments. I will get into it and I'll explain you guys in another chess lesson. If there are any remarks that you can give me, please give them, and I hope you liked the video. Please leave a like and a subscribe for later, and I will see you guys in the next lesson.